All right, dear friends, let's talk about the latest tragedy. Spend some time doing what we do best, and that is discussing things like adults. I'm not trying to use cliches. I'm not burnishing my reel. I'm not trying to audition to be the crime spokesperson. I know it's tough. I've been involved in this. But what I want to hear is reality, not schmaltz. I don't want to hear about our prayers are with. I don't understand what that means. It's too late for the prayers. Good for you with your prayers. I don't understand. I know this may mean something. Maybe I'm the only person. Cliches drive me crazy. Soft target is the word that everybody's saying. It's a soft target. Once they glom onto something, once they attach themselves to a word, to a phrase, then that's all you hear. I turned on, we'll get to the facts of this. I turned on very quickly and was interested to see the, how do I say this? This person, they always go to this Ted Williams. This man has no business explaining anything. I'm sure he's a fine guy who was a DC cop. He is the worst. Absolutely. It's almost like, what are you doing? Don't put somebody on TV. We'll get to this, but I've just got to. There's no rhyme or reason to what I'm saying. I've made a bunch of notes. But why do you get these people? The most superior person I have heard is this retired inspector from NYPD who is terrific. His name is Paul Mauro, Mauro, and he is phenomenal, absolutely terrific. His name is, let me make sure I get this. Paul Mauro. Wonderful, absolutely perfect. There's something that happens, and the rest of the world may not understand it. Maybe people in New York don't recognize it, but to the rest of the world, when you put on the prototypical Goomba kind of, hey, New York, I got the New York, I'm in New York, I got the cops in the New. This is cacophonous. This doesn't work. I don't know why people do this. I don't know why they have. I don't know where this comes from. Maybe people have been doing this for so long they don't notice it. But that's it's almost caricaturish. What is this? Not Columbo, but is Kojak or something? I don't know why they do this. There are so many people who were really good at this. And what I want to do it today is to describe to you some really good review of this and not be cliched. I'm not interested in the cliche. And it works like this. There was, of course, another sad, you don't need me to say sad. Oh, another one too, please. A parent's worst nightmare. Stop saying that. I know you don't mean you don't recognize how ridiculous these things sound. By the way, Big Dickie, thank you, my friend. And love to have you on the show last night. Big Dickie was on the WABC show. He was fantastic. I was so proud to have you, my brother. Thank you. But I don't know why people turn into John Cameron Swayze or become I don't know what, but something strange happens, something weird. They get very, very cliched. 7 children in critical condition, 2, I believe, dead, about 20 total injured. So there's been another school shooting in Minneapolis. This morning, gunfire erupted at Annunciation Catholic Church, in a school and church in South Minneapolis. Officials quickly confirmed the shooter was contained, meaning he killed himself, right? Did he kill himself or he's dead? We don't know whether he, quote, turned the gun on himself. Another phrase. Who speaks like that? Do you speak like that? We become so cliched, we don't even realize it. Last night, this has nothing to do with this, but we were talking about on ABC these shows that have been pulled because they're deemed racist, ladies, years later. And somebody was saying, yeah, Amos and Andy. Who remembers Amos and Andy? Nobody cares. But we talk about Amos and Andy as though we missed it. Why? Because we're cliched, we're hackneyed. We say the same things. But there were multiple agencies responding. Minneapolis Police, FBI, ATF, Minnesota State Patrol. Students were evacuated. Reunification centers were set up. Tim Walz called the violence, here we go, horrific. Elon Omar, terrible. Was it Hakeem Jeffries? This is about guns. I know you have to say something. I know. But it is one cliche after another. Thoughts and prayers, parents' worst nightmare, lockdowns, active shooter, soft targets. What is an inactive shooter? Why are we using police phrases? Why has news become so, again, and this is becoming cliched? Why do we do this? Because nobody knows what to do. Because I guarantee you there's not a news organization that ever had a drill as to how things happen. You need somebody who is in charge of getting the information, having all your police sources handy, blah, 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 blah. This Morrow is the best. Students were, of course, evacuated. Reunification centers were set up. Politicians are responding, saying, what are you supposed to say? Early reports indicate the suspect is gone. Whether he offed himself, we don't know. Details remain unconfirmed. It's remember they say during war, the first casualty is truth. We cannot keep doing this. We cannot keep responding with cliches. We cannot keep reacting with the same tired phrases, worst nightmares, soft targets, our prayers are with them. It's the same no matter what. That kind of language, believe it or not, makes us numb. It routinizes a tragedy. It prevents us from addressing the problem directly when we go into this performative mode, when we just lock down and just say things the same way. So here's a comprehensive practical plan. And first, every case is different. This fellow, about 20 years old, right in his 20s, he had a revolver, he had a shotgun, I think a rifle. And he shot from outside. There might have been barricaded. We don't know. I don't know if he left a manifesto, social media. In the event he does, this cannot be looked at. You cannot review. Quit lionizing. Quit giving people this stage by providing manifestos as though they could ever actually give you a reason, a substantive, valid reason for what they've done. This is insanity. I don't want to know their name. I don't want to know a picture. Maybe gender or whatever. And if they're transgender, I don't want to know. No more 3 named John Wayne Gacy. I want them to be anonymized. I want them to be relegated to the ash heap of anonymous nothings. Another killer. Focus on the children. Focus on the families. Focus on the people left behind. And stop talking about and by the way, I do not want President Trump to issue any kind of a directive order, some executive order. Do not do this. This is the First Amendment. We should do this voluntarily. All right. But you have to have one thing. Now, this case was different. He tried to get in. Every school from now on has to have a specific plan, a systematic plan a practical plan, securing every school. This is a church now. Remember, there's going to be people are going to figure it out. Events, sporting events, uh, high school jamborees, pep rallies. I know. We can't we can't make us. I don't want to say bulletproof. That's a bad cliche, but I don't. But there's no way to prevent this from happening in toto. But every classroom, every child, they must be protected with professional armed protection and clear communication standards. This is absolutely 100% the way it is. You have to look for staffing and security structure. Every school, regardless of size or location, must have armed guards. These guards can be current sworn police officers, retired law enforcement, private security, properly vetted, licensed military veterans. We have an endless supply of these trained men and women. We need a 2-layer guard model that should be used. One guard posted permanently at the secure main entrance and another roving the interior and perimeter during high traffic times. Arrival, lunch, dismissal. That's simple. And I don't want to hear this stuff about we want to have these people dressed as janitors. No. Kids have to wake up. We'll do everything we can to protect their innocence, but they have to understand these are police with uniforms and badges to go to. I don't want to have any confusion. They actually were saying, sometimes they have them disguised as janitors. No. I want to clear, this is the person to go to. Not, is this janitor? No. Clear uniform. Kids will adapt perfectly. Kids live in a world with sirens, with lights. You go to the mall, they have security. You go to offices, they have security. You go to the airport, they got security. Don't give me, the kids are very resilient. Make security as much a part of their life as possible. Nothing to be alarmed about. Just get used to it. In fact, let security make them feel at home. Make them feel secure. That's the name also. Security. Now, for smaller schools, multiple campuses can share roving coverage on a schedule, ensuring that no site is left unprotected. You want to make sure that the bad guys know that place has got a cop ready to go and armed. School resource officers, or SROs, cannot be treated as glorified hall monitors or teachers' aides. They're not there to attend birthday parties or play goodwill ambassador. They must be armed, trained, sworn police or ex-military, prepared to act in seconds, not minutes, in the face of deadly threats. They are not handing out tests. They're not, good morning, Jerry. I don't know what this is. School resource officers know this isn't about resource. It's about security. We need training and standards. Every armed officer in a school must complete at least a mandatory 40-hour school resource training course. This includes adolescent development, de-escalation, legal updates, and emergency medical response. They have to know a little bit about the people they are working with. That means understanding a lot of these kids today are, what's the word? Effed up. They don't make eye contact. They're looking at their phones all the time. They're not paying attention. Mrs. L mentioned yesterday, I believe, there's a new type of lordosis where kids are suffering, but they're exhibiting this kind of like a hunched over from the phones. This is a different world. So know a little bit about their charge, but not too much. You've got to have quarterly scenario-based drills, non-negotiable. Force-on-force exercises with staff, local police, and administrators using actual school maps must be conducted. The drills must also include medical scenarios, lockdown protocols, post-incident reunification, and let everybody know, look what we're doing. You want every potential lunatic in the future to say, Jesus, this is not the place to do this, and to let them know, bring it on. If you think you're going to walk into some school and catch anybody off guard, one entrance, one exit. No doors propped open. No side doors in and out. No, 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 no. These are different times. That's the way it goes. A youth appropriate use of force policy is mandatory with clear escalation ladders that emphasize de-escalation first, but recognize, listen to me, that deadly force may be required instantly to save lives. We're not kidding around here. Now, you have to do this thing which is referred to, and I don't want to be Mr. Cliche, but access control and campus hardening. It's referred to as hardening. You've got soft targets. This is hardening. Every school must have one public entrance open during school hours. That entry must be staffed with security, screening, and cameras. All other exterior doors, everything must be locked from the outside, alarmed and monitored by video. No exceptions, none. They must remain free for egress, for leaving in emergencies to comply with fire codes, that's fine. But they cannot be points of easy access for intruders. No exceptions. None. Door prop alarms must be installed. Anybody who kind of leave, in the old days, they would do this to go out and smoke. You would smoke, no more of this. Door prop alarms must be installed, and administrators must be held accountable for violations. No more side doors left open. No more, well, they were going in and out, or the kids did it to sneak. No. Visitor management must be modern and secure. All visitors must present ID at the main entrance. IDs must be scanned, badges printed with expiration times, appointment logs maintained for contractors. Serious business. And let me tell you something, kids will love it. They will feel so secure because these kids, as we are speaking right now, are freaking out beyond anything you can imagine. And you know who freaks out more? Not the little kids, right, honey? But middle, 7th, 8th graders, they're freaking out. Not the little kids. They're very resilient. They have a hard time. You could almost get to them before it's processed. Middle, 12, 10, 11, 12, 13, different story. Layered screening has to be there. Must be ready for high-risk periods. Handheld or walk-through detection. Bag checks at events and protocols based on active threat assessments must be enforced. Serious business. Camera systems must cover parking lots, entries, main corridors. Guards must have live feeds and instant playback to track any suspicious movement. This is a war. This is a war for the next lunatic who figures he is going to make his name, he is going to be famous when we put him on notice about how great everything else. Anyway, operations and communications. Guards must have written post orders. A one-page directive, a one-page list, if you will, with radio channels, code words, door checklist, reunification sites. Is everybody who's missing? Remember the buddy system? Kind of laughed at that, the buddy system. Medical kit locations. Schools have to maintain interoperable radios. Dedicated school channels must be able to patch directly into police and first responders. Immediate. Spare radios must be available to these administrators at all times. This is serious business. When it comes to arrival and dismissal, they require a surge posture. Both armed posts outside, cars funneled through supervised lanes, pedestrian gates staffed. Serious business. You will thank us for this. Threat assessment teams have to meet weekly. The team includes the school resource officer, the principal, the counselor, the nurse. They must review tips, social media threats, restraining orders, and an intel. Somebody paying attention, reading the post. Every school's got a Facebook. Every school. Find out anybody giving any messages, any past students with a gripe, somebody bullied, whatever the warning signs are. Early intervention saves lives. Serious business. Every school must be medically ready. Bleeding control kits. Bleeding control. These devices are used for battlefield to stanch or staunch bleeding to stop it. AEDs must be placed throughout schools. This is really serious stuff right now. And I can't say that. And again, you'll never hear anybody talking about this. You'll never hear anybody discuss this. These automated external defibrillators, these AEDs, they've got them at gyms. You've got to place through the building. Guards and staff must carry tourniquets, know how to use them. Stop the bleed training must be annual and mandatory. I'm sorry to bring this to people's attention. I'm sorry to make people sad about this. I'm sorry to scare people. I hope I'm not scaring anybody. I hope nobody's scared. That's the way it goes. This is the real world. And you'll feel better if you know how to do this. We've got to have funding and accountability. This is critical business. Schools, absolutely positively, schools must aggressively pursue federal funding through DOJ, these COPS school violence program, DOJ Stop School Violence grants, whatever it takes. These programs can cover cameras and radios and alarms and reporting tools. You have to teach them. You can't just say, well, let's just have our thoughts and prayers in the meantime and spend more time going over this sick son of a bitch and what he thought and what he was upset about and whether he was a trans or bi or tri or quad or whatever the hell he is. Nobody cares about this. Accountability cannot be lip service. Schools have to publish annual safety scorecards. I'm telling you, you forget this stuff. Start talking things like door alarm compliance, drill response times, incident reviews, and show people what Mount Holyoke or PS 133 or Jefferson Davis, I don't think you see that, a high school or whatever. Show people. Look at what they're doing. We're going through drills. Let the bad guys know, not this town, because these people are cowards. Let me say that again to you. They're cowards. They're not trying to make they want to make this guy in particular shooting. He's like, what are you, a modified sniper? Normally you want to be upfront and personal. That's the story. This guy just wants to make a name. You got to have periodic third-party audits. They've got to be required to confirm guard performance, camera functionality, alarm compliance. Grants must be tied to compliance. And you want to have people to come in and say, you're not doing your job. And if you don't want to do this, if you don't like this, if you're some lily-livered, pablum puking, lefty, whatever it is, tough titty, sorry, this is the way it is from now on. We have to have media and communication standards. The media must adopt a strict rule set, voluntarily now, for covering these tragedies. Never read the shooter's name on the air. Say it again, my friends. Repeat. Never state the shooter's name on the air. Never post photographs. Never print their personal history or manifesto. No shooter, must ever be granted the celebrity that they seek. They must be anonymized, invisible, and forgotten. Stop using phrases like soft targets, active shooters, this Hollywood style military cliches. I heard there's Trey got it. Fox, let me tell you something, with the exception of Ted Williams, I don't know who this jabroni is. Who is this? He's horrible. I want to see who's handling this thing first, because they'll at least talk about the specifics of this. These other lefty shows, when it comes to this, there's the whole thing is they want to go to Tim Walz. I know he's the governor, but for God's sake. And you want to hear Ilhan Omar's take on this? I know it's her district. I know, but this is not a movie, my friend. This is a matter of life and death. Stop with the cliches. You're not a cop. You're not a cop. And those of us who have been, prosecutors are not cops. We don't do SWAT training. We don't rappel from helicopters. We've never done, first on the scene, barricaded, people have not shot at us. And I understand we all have to do this, I've got a badge, I had a badge, but we're not cops. And stop saying our worst nightmare. Our prayers are with them. As if that's analysis. That's empty, padded language. Do me a favor. Stop with this. You need more than prayers. God's going to tell you, stop praying, do something. Here, pray to me. Now do something. I'm sending it back. Do something about this. Pay attention. Be active. I'm not going to intervene. God doesn't stop these things. Okay, PS 133, I'm going to spare you. But Grover Cleveland High School, you're on your own. It's ridiculous. Audiences, we deserve specifics, context, and clarity. And reporting, or whatever it is, has to prioritize victims, first responders, community resilience, not the depraved individual who carried out the attack. We don't care about them. These rules have to be written, shared, enforced before coverage begins. Again, voluntarily, not mandated. If media outlets cannot police themselves, no pun intended, legislators and regulators may need to impose standards under the guise of emergency legislation during emergency time. Now, here's some implementation notes. Compliance means, one more time, one entrance only during normal hours, but multiple emergency exits must always be available. I'm telling you right now, you've got to have audits. You should be able to go in, send in my team. We go into your school and we say, okay, let me show you how fast we do this. I'll show you. And we have my person come in with a body cam, with a vest, walk in and say, this is what my guy just did. He's in your school right now as we speak. What? He's in your school. He got past you. What? He looks like a parent. Look what he did. He came in the side door. He did this. He walked like this. He knew a few names. Remember, most of these people are going to be familiar with this city anyway. They're probably going to be familiar with this school. They're going to know who these people are. They're going to know the names of principals. They're going to know a lot of things. They can slip through. Anybody hell-bent on destruction, you don't need super intel for this. I would show them, look what happened in your group right now. This is what happened in your school as we speak. This is the part which is the most incredible thing we've ever seen. I can't say this enough. I can't say it enough. I'm so tired of this nonsense. Doors, I'm saying it again, Mr. Broken Record here, must remain alarmed, locked from the outside, monitored by cameras. Okay? Staffing must be phased, beginning with high school, expand to middle schools, and scale to elementary as hiring and funding catch up. This is where we know where the target is most probably. This is rare, but you're going to see a synagogue, you're going to see a nursery school, you're going to see something pop up that completely violates everything that you thought would be normal. Small rural schools can share regional armed response teams. It is that simple. Community buy-in, by the way, is critical. Schools have to host open houses explaining the guard model, the drills, and the protocols. Parents must trust the system or it's going to collapse under suspicion. Don't hide it. Let them know. Now, this is the plan. Armed protection, trained professionals, hardened campuses, clear operational standards, real accountability, responsible media coverage. That's how you protect schools. That's how you save children. That's how you stop tragedies from becoming routines. Now, it's not going to be perfect. There's going to be a problem every now and then. Somebody will slip through. I understand that. But remember, please forgive me, this type of person is a coward. They're not a soldier. They don't have a clear, they're not willing to die for their cause. They don't have a cause. Thank you, Sarah Smith. You're very kind. Lori Cuck says, I agree, and homeschooling is an alternative if you don't like it, which is true. Big Dickie Daniels says, 7th graders lived COVID. They got to deal with laptops all day and shooters and AI. It's inhumanity, insanity. Absolutely. Absolutely. Kids are very, very resilient. Very, very resilient. Now, this is the way it is. Let me explain something. As you know, by the way, and again, thank you so much. You're so kind. Your birthday wishes were so great yesterday. I have a new way of looking at life. I always have it. No bullshit. Stop it. Stop lying. Stop. We had something recently. We have a friend of the family. I said, how you doing? Great. Where were you? Well, I had to go out. Where'd you do? I had to get a flu shot. Had to get a flu shot. Why are you getting a flu shot? Well, my doctor says. I said, now listen, I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to tell you what to do about that. But let me ask you, where in the have you been? Where have you been regarding COVID and shots and immunization? Where have you been? Where have you been? I have you learned nothing? Have you learned nothing? I'm not speaking about flu shots one way or the other. I'm not a doctor. But I'm thinking, am I the only one who's... I would sit there and say, now listen, doc, let me say this. Are you recommending this or are you mandating this? Are you mandating it? Well, you don't need to do it. Okay, fine. People don't learn. We don't learn. We're going to take the past, 10 of these shootings? They're all the same. There was a story years ago. Let me back up a little bit. There was a story, and it was ABC. ABC did this. It was very good. And ABC did this piece where they showed they asked parents, will your child ever will your child ever go with a stranger? Let's say a stranger comes into your town or comes into whatever. Would your child ever walk off? And people said, oh no, not my child. I teach my child. Really? Oh yes. Okay. So your child, oh yes, my child would never do this. So they asked these parents, do you mind? Do we have your permission to see if we can get your child to come with us? It's, of course, we're going to be filming this, but do you mind? In fact, there's this new thing on social media where they will go up to girls and say, hey, do you want to see if your boyfriend is on social media? And he goes, yeah. Do you think he is? He says, no. Would you give us a picture of him and his name? And sure enough, here he is. He's out looking for, okay. People are more interested in that. So anyway, so what they did was they said, we're going to show you. And they had a camera. I think there was maybe it might have been New York. And these kids were in a playground. And this guy walks in with a leash. And he said, Fluffy or Toby or Sprinkles or whatever the dog's name is. Yeah. And he walks up to the little girl and says, have you seen my little puppy? He's lost. And I was putting on his or her or his leash. And he's a cute little, he's like this. Have you seen a puppy? He said, oh, I'm so worried about him because he doesn't come out during the day. And I don't know if he's eaten. And would you help me find him? Yes. Come on. And the last scene the parents see is this guy walking off, holding the hand of their daughter that they swore would never go off with a stranger. That's what you do. You go into these schools and you show battle hardened. You show them this is the way it works. This is serious business. Enough with this bullshit. We are talking nonsense. We talk about stuff that just doesn't, I don't understand. We talk more crap. And when it comes to news, the number one thing that people in news organizations want to do, and I have no problem with this because this is reality, is to get you to watch. To get you to watch. And they want you to watch and they want you to understand how this thing works. And they want you to pay attention to them. They don't give a damn whether they save a life or make the country, but that's not their job. It's to give you the best people made up and supposedly glorious looking on their couch. And look, you know how this thing works. I'm beyond that. Beyond it. I'm telling you. Oh, and one more thing. Stop saying mental illness. Stop saying mental illness. Stop saying, well, they're mentally ill. Stop saying mental illness. 99% of everybody with mental illness has nothing to do with violence. Most schizophrenics are not violent. Most people who hear voices are not violent. Most people are not violent. And this may come as a surprise, these people are not mentally ill. And don't say evil. I don't know what evil means. I don't know if this is the devil, romanticizing. You don't have to give this a name. There are people who just figure, I don't know whether this is evil or not. I just want to do this for reasons we do not have to explain. It's that simple. Don't worry about why. Don't worry about the sources of this. People are going to say it's our media, it's guns, it's President Trump. Stop assigning some type of source to this. That's the part. This is the part which I find to be so problematic. For the longest, I've told you for years, I have always loved, I can't say it, but I've loved studying serial killers. Loved it. And the reason why is simply this, not because I like these people, they're terrible people, they're horrible people. And I'm not, unlike Piers Morgan, I'm not trying to glorify something. I want to know, what do you think this thing works? How does this work? Okay. And what's interesting to note is that we really don't know why. I think I told you this story, but I told you I knew the attorney for Jeffrey Dahmer, Jerry Boyle or something. It's been a long time. And one time when he was arrested, the police said, ask him why he had severed heads associated or arranged in some particular order. Maybe we could find out a reason for that. Ask him. So he said, Jeffrey, yes. Why did you have the heads lined up in the such and such as a whatever. And he said, real estate. He said, real estate. He said, real estate. And he said, what does that mean? And he said, I don't know. I don't know. Real estate. So what happens is I don't know one. Ted Bundy decided to go out and do this when everything that happened to him happened to other people and worse. Enuresis, bedwetting, teasing animals, arson, all of these things as well. They didn't kill anybody. He did. Why? I don't know. The sniper, the DC sniper, what's his name? Malvo or whatever. Snipers are really weird. They want to get away from you. They don't want up close and personal. They're not interested in this. Up close, far away. Why? I don't know. This guy wanted to shoot through the windows of a church. Why? I don't know. The why doesn't matter. If we do know why, we're not going to be able to predict it. What we can do is we can prevent it by making these soft targets, to use that, yes, ma'am, that Trey Gowdy perseveration, to make it apply to this as well. This is a different story. This is something which has nothing to do with anything other than knowing how this thing works. I hate bullshit. I hate when people try to romanticize about why do people take drugs? Well, people take drugs because I don't know. Who knows? Go to any alcoholics here. You don't have to raise your hand. Some of you might be in the program, as they say. Some of you may be fighting every day for sobriety. And the fact that you're doing it, God bless you. God bless you. Now, why are you sober? I don't know. Other people drink. Other people. Not everybody who is homeless is an alcoholic or a drug addict. They're connected. How does this work? Why were you? What was with your particular predisposition or chemical makeup or personality makeup that made you this way? I don't know. Why do you do that? I don't know. Nobody knows. It's one of those things which just confounds everyone. It makes no sense. None of this nonsense makes any sense. What does make sense is our reaction to it. I don't care why. I will never know why. Mrs. L spends her waking day looking at and studying how children are victimized, to the point that it kind of can affect you in your mentality after a while, because you're just immersed in this horror. So you ask yourself, why do people do this? I don't know. So I think I've made that point. It's not evil. It's not drugs. It's not the media. It's not rock music or video games or any of that stuff. There's something different about us. There are more gun violence episodes in other countries. This is what people have to understand. And this is critical. There are more populations with more gun violence than the United States, because we think we are the most violent and we have the most guns. Whether we have the most guns or not, in fact, there are countries with fewer guns and more gun violence. And what do you think the difference is? I'll save you the thinking. The difference is that they kill because of drug turf, territory, crime. We kill because somebody had a bad day. Somebody is angry. Somebody was bullied. Somebody was mistreated. Or somebody just wants to make a name for themselves. There is something weird, especially weird, about our violence. And this is something which doesn't help, but I want you to understand this. There's something purely American about our violence. Around the world, countries with high homicide rates, El Salvador, Honduras, Jamaica, Brazil, South Africa, they see violence driven by organized crime, drug trafficking, territorial control. The killings are systemic, transactional, and linked to turf wars, cartels, rivalries. Guns may be fewer overall, but when they're present, they're used in the service of maintaining power and territory. By contrast, the United States has something almost uniquely bizarre: personalized violence. Our mass shootings, our school attacks are rarely about drugs, organized crime, organized criminal control. Instead, they're tied to personal grievances. Uh, a bullied teenager, an angry employee, a man stewing over rejection, somebody obsessed with notoriety. These are individuals seeking recognition and revenge or identity through bloodshed. It's not about controlling a block or a smuggling route. It's about making themselves visible. And that's why our violence feels so weird. In other nations, the violence is rationalized by crime syndicates, economics. Here, the motives are pretty self-centered or symbolic. We have the world's freest the most viral media ecosystems, and that visibly amplifies these grievances. And the shooter knows their name, their manifesto, their mugshots, knows it will circulate. So no, America is not the most violent country per capita, but the nature of our violence, isolated individuals unleashing mayhem over slights or grudges or whatever it is, it makes it unsettling. We are effed up. Understand who we are. Whatever the reason is. Someone says, it's emotional immaturity. You think? 5G and radio waves are driving people nuts. No. There's 5G and radio waves in other countries. It's all over the world. No. You're going to say it's the vaccines. No. You're going to say it's turmeric, seed oils. You love this. Our group loves it. Oh no, it's the pineal gland. It's a calcification, the third eye, lack of magnesium. We need pink salt and methylene blue. We need red lights and blue lights and light. It comes back to accountability. Accountability? You think this is about accountability? Again, every time you give me a name of something, it cheapens the complexity of it. You're using cliches. You're using cliches. 5G? You're going to bring up the USS Liberty? We are the most, I hate to say it, cliched of everybody. What are we talking about? I don't know what it is. You're not going to find out what it is. When somebody goes in and you get somebody who says, I'm going to go into a synagogue or a play school, I'm going to start shooting people up. Accountability? No shit, Sherlock. Of course it is. Of course that's accountability. But what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Because we have to say something. SSRIs are high on the list. Wrong again. Wrong again. We have this thing about SSRIs. Just like you have this thing about seed oils. You've got this hard on for seed oils and statins, and you just say this stuff. You just repeat this stuff. You've never researched any of this, with all due respect, no offense, in your life. You repeat phrases, jargon, hackneyed expressions. You repeat what everyone tells you. Selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors save lives. There are people who are watching right now whose lives were given back. They were in the throes of clinical depression that you can't even comprehend. And when they got off of the SSRIs or took them, it wasn't the SSRIs, but taking them off early or whatever. It throws people off. They were associated in some cases with this. Do you know how many people have been on Prozac and Buspar and all these other kind of SSRIs? Do you know how many shootings and self-harm and homicides we were seeing if there was a clear case, a connection? The numbers don't bear out. Yet you keep saying that. You keep saying SSRIs because part of your rule book to be a conspiracist is to repeat these phrases. You turn the page, and whenever there's any kind of shooting, you say this. Here's the part which is the most important. SSRIs, psychotropic medications, psych meds, whatever you want to call it, are given to people with psychiatric disorders. What was that? They're given to people with psychiatric disorders. Do you think the psychiatric disorder has anything to do with it? Do you think the fact that somebody who may have been depressed in the first place, which led them to take the SSRI, that might have been the underlying reason? That it was the underlying depression that did it? Or the SSRI? No, that destroys the narrative. Because you sound like Tom Cruise after a while. This is the Scientology rip, that all psych meds have changed people's lives. Of course they've been over-medicated, over-prescribed in some cases. Absolutely. And my favorite is, let me just say this, statins have saved more people's lives than you will ever understand. And if you think you can get off statins, if you think LDLs will drop, if you have some kind of genetic predisposition, you're going to end up dead with some thrombus, some atherogenic, some cardiac incident. And you're going to say, you mean my chia seeds didn't help? You mean my turmeric, my green tea, my meditation, my resistance training, my deadlifts, my Bobby Kennedy pull-ups, they didn't help? My sleep, my ice bath immersion, that didn't help? Nope. Not at all. You lied to me. You can say any kind of bullshit you want on the internet, anything. And that's the way it should be. You have the duty to learn what it's about. People say stuff all the time. They're cliches. They don't know anything. Some people have never been to college. Not that you need to be to college, but all of a sudden you're an expert in SSRIs because you heard somebody what? You heard somebody say this? Maybe you saw a little short. Maybe there's somebody who, hi, this cardiologist has 5 things you shouldn't eat. Cold strawberries, sawdust, magnets. I take magnesium. I take cobalt. What? That's it. Okay. Turmeric, cayenne, matcha tea. Here's a reason. We looked and we saw, why do these Okinawans, why do they live forever? Oh, it's simple. It's boron. What? Collagen. What? Whatever they tell you, that's your thing. 5Gs. That's it. It's 5G. It's radiation. That's what's making these people. We have 50 million people. There's hardly any shootings ever. Homicides for hours are nothing. I got the same 5G, the same radiation, and there are people here on SSRI. They're not killing anybody. What are you talking about? You don't understand. I'm a conspiracist. I live in a world where I make connections that maybe nobody else makes a connection to. I talk about oxidized adrenaline. That'll come up too. Oh, that's the answer. There are some people, there's one woman in particular, I'm not going to mention her name. You would swear to God her whole life is spirit cooking and Podesta and Abramovich and certain I swear to God, everything is cannibalism and this and now I appreciate people's imagination. You show the ability to maybe think outside the box, which is very good. And sometimes you need that. But you can't romanticize versions of reality that are just by their very nature kind of exotic for the sake of being exotic. Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. I don't want to say Occam's razor because that's what's the other one? Dinkum's postulates or whatever. That term is used. It doesn't mean the simplest. It means just simply this. I don't care about why. I want to prevent it. I want to prevent it. I want to prevent it. If you think that certain COVID vaccines cause a problem, I don't care why they cause a problem, how they cause a problem. I want to know if they cause a problem. And should I stop doing something to prevent the problem? Not understanding what happens, not understanding the mechanism of the problem, myocarditis. I don't care how myocarditis happens. I don't care. I don't care how cigarette smoke causes lung cancer or COPD. I don't care how. Stop smoking. That's it. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me, the source of things. Well, why do you think that is? I don't know. Well, why do you think? I don't know. I don't know. But there's this thing that we love. And we have got to learn ourselves, disabuse ourselves from this always going to the romantic and the weird and the sci-fi. And it may have something to do with it. But I guarantee you, if you're going to find whether 5G, radiation, whether HARP or some other form of, I don't know, strontium, stratospheric saturation through nanoparticulate inhalation. Don't just think, I think there's something to, no, find out why and stop it. Don't understand the mechanism. I've said enough. We're going to be talking later on tonight at 6. Mrs. L has a live at 5. Make sure you're a part of that. Thank you for your attention to this. Thank you for your insight. Very good. Big Dick Daniels, thank you so much. Sarah Smith, Laurie Cuck, thank you so much for your thoughts. And again, your kindness yesterday, your kindness was so terrific. Last word, please do not take my admonitions to heart. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to say, stop that. But sometimes I think you need to be kind of brought back, because your genius and your appreciation for the abstruse sometimes leads you way out there. And it's not that there's nothing to it, but you're missing the point. The answer is very, very simple. The prevention part of it, not the why part, but how do we stop it? That's all I want. And I'm telling you, I made it very clear. This can be done immediately. We have to change our mindset. Stop politicizing this. And vote. And God bless America. Okay? All right. All right, dear friends. Have a great day. Don't forget to subscribe to Lynn's Warriors. Don't forget, she'll be doing a live at 5. Don't forget also Lionel Legal and Lionel Nation. Make sure you like this video and make sure your thoughts and comments are on the, and I'm going to keep, because what you say is still the smartest stuff anybody has ever seen. I have the smartest members of the nation, of the conspiratorium, and you can imagine. All right, dear friends, have a great and glorious day. And until then, remember, the monkey's dead. Show's over. Sue ya. Da.